Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So in today's video, we're going to be covering a little bit about how impressive Donald Trump's victory was on the electoral map, where he improved the most, and what this really means for future election cycles in this country, because it seems that once again, Donald Trump has hacked the electoral map, and we saw this in 2016 firsthand. Because if you want to go back, and we have the map up from this election cycle, but if you wanted to go back to 2012, for example, Mitt Romney failed to win Ohio, Iowa, Florida, and I believe Nevada was another state that he was not able to win. And on top of that, he was not able to carry Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin. Pretty brutal when you look at it. Yes, he got Nebraska's 2nd district, which, again, is not exactly what it is today. You have a lot of demographic changes. For example, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, those states have demographically changed as well quite a bit since 2012. Now, they are kind of turning a corner, and we'll talk about why. But this is the truth, that even with the old guard of the GOP, Republicans were headed for extinction, the way of the dinosaur, a regional party. You know, we heard for decades, Texas is getting bluer, until Donald Trump overnight just erased how many decades of gains in Texas. Or sometimes they'll have a pipe dream about Alaska. Or remember when John McCain lost Indiana? Obviously, it was a bad year for Republicans, but you get the point. The bottom line is that for so long, people said Donald Trump could not win an election, and they also claimed that the electoral map in certain places like the suburbs are working against Donald Trump or Trumpian Republicans at large, and that's just not entirely the case. And we'll talk about why in this video, but also how Donald Trump is expanding the map. And while it's not ready yet, I guess you would say, he made massive strides in places in New York, New Jersey, Virginia, California, Illinois, places where Republicans don't usually do very well at all, but he's starting to turn the corner a little bit, and that's why he won the popular vote, the first Republican to win the popular vote since George Bush in 2004, when he was an incumbent wartime president, basically. And then you have to go all the way back to 1988 before then to find a Republican that won the popular vote. So anybody that wants to say it's not a mandate or whatever, no, it really is, because these are the same people that said for years and years, oh, Republicans will never win an election ever again. Even if they do, they'll never win the popular vote. These were the people claiming that the election was all about abortion and democracy and that Trump had virtually no shot and that North Carolina was going to go blue and Iowa was competitive. By the way, Ann Selzer today, it's being announced she's not polling anymore. Gee, I wonder why. But anyways, it doesn't matter. The election's over. The election mafia takes the L, the biggest L of all time, and we're still doing the victory lap. But I want to kind of get into some of the dynamics in some of these places. And it's true, the swing states, we'll get to the swing states in a minute. But I want to look at New York, because this is a state that if you look at 2020, Joe Biden, and this was a good performance in New York City for Donald Trump, by the way, but Biden won the state by 23.2 percentage points. That margin was cut in half, not even a 12-point win. There might be a few votes outstanding in certain parts of New York City, or who knows what the deal is there, but it's not going to be enough to move that margin much at all. If you want to look at the actual gains Trump has made in New York City, they're substantial. Queens, he nearly broke 40%. Last time he got 27%. Brooklyn at 22%. The Bronx at 15%. Now you look at the Bronx, he got 27% of the vote in the Bronx. So Donald Trump, and what his movement brings to the table, he's developed a very wide coalition, ironically enough. And the old guard Republicans could not do this. They were still losing the suburbs because the suburbs have changed. This is why Donald Trump did better in the suburbs this time around. Like I said, not all suburbs are created equal. And, you know, there are a lot of working class and middle class people that live in the suburbs that are very MAGA or open to MAGA, and Donald Trump really did well. Nassau County and Suffolk County on Long Island, Donald Trump running up the margins there. There's more room to grow, you could even argue. Staten Island, he won like 2/3 of the vote in Staten Island. He netted like 60,000 votes there. So while New York probably isn't ready to flip anytime soon, Donald Trump definitely got the ball rolling on a place like New York. And we don't even have to touch base on Florida because that's just ridiculous. I mean, all around, Florida has become a Republican vote sink. He won it by 1.5 million. You know, people laughed at me when I said Trump would win it by 10. He won it by over like 13 points. And like I said, voter registration matters. Ground game matters. Republicans actually took it seriously this time around. The left didn't want to believe it. The establishment didn't want to believe it because they wanted Trump to lose. But either way, it doesn't matter. It wasn't just in Florida, but also even like Pennsylvania, for example. Republicans netted 400,000 new voter registrations, and Donald Trump is carrying the state by over 120,000 votes right now. And that does include some potential ballots that are being counted that are going to get struck down by the court because they're openly defying orders in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. But you talk about the suburbs of Philadelphia, they said, oh, Trump would lose because of trends in the suburbs. No, he reversed them. He reversed them because he's expanding the coalition. And like I said, not all suburbanites are these uppity, wealthy social liberals. They're not. And by the way, you're not winning those voters with any Republican, period. Like if Republicans put up Nikki Haley, like she might get a few more percentage points of that demographic, but she's not winning, Michigan. She wouldn't even arguably win Macomb County. Like if we're going to be completely honest here. Yeah, there'd be a big third party vote, but you get the point. Like all around, you look at even Georgia. He was able to turn a quarter in Georgia because he did so well in Fulton and DeKalb and improved in Gwinnett over 2020 because he was able to do well with some voters like Hispanic voters and even like young black men that Republicans usually don't get. They don't usually get those voters. But Donald Trump, he was able to get those voters to show up for him. And if you had higher turnout, probably would help Donald Trump across the board in a lot of these places, because you did have higher turnout than a lot of people anticipated, but still, he really ran up the score. Then we could look at Texas. Texas is just insane if you look at Texas. Harris County, which is where Houston is, has no relation to Donald Trump's opponent. Donald Trump hit 47% of the vote in Harris County. Republicans are not supposed to compete there. I think he outran Greg Abbott in the midterms in Harris County. Like, this is not a place where Republicans typically do well. Dallas County, he's turning a corner in Dallas County. He even improved in Austin, because you talk about a lot of these younger voters, and some of that does include, Hispanic men, Hispanics at large, and some of these other demographics. Republicans under Trump have been improving, making strides, because he's positioned the Republican Party. It's a working class and middle class party. It's not the party of the elite necessarily. It's just a party that is common sense. And you're seeing what's happening. Democrats are scratching their head. And part of it is that they've become a woke party. But them trying to root out wokeness is like the Republicans at this point trying to root out MAGA. Like it's going to be very hard. They're not going to be able to do it. And if they do, they may even lose some more people at that point. So when you look at this, it is a mandate. When you see what's going on in Montgomery County, even the places that have moved left, like Williamson County, north of Austin, he flipped it back. That's impressive. We could talk about other states, Virginia, Northern Virginia, even places that were thought to be gone, like Loudoun County, Prince William County. He's moving them 9 points to the right. Virginia, it's not ready to be in play. But you can make the case it could be. If Biden was still the nominee, and maybe we could do an alt history prediction. If you guys want that, let me know in the comments down below. But Virginia, moving to the right. New Jersey moving to the right. This is insane. New Jersey was closer, not only closer than Texas, because a lot of people wouldn't have believed that, but it was just as close as Arizona was. When you look at the final totals, you're talking about, a 5.6% win in New Jersey. And what about Arizona? They said Arizona was gone. Donald Trump won that by more than New Jersey. Or actually roughly about the same, but there's still more votes to count out of some red counties here, like Yuma, to the point where he could very well top that. And it's insane. It's absolutely insane. They said Maricopa County's gone. I said, there's a lot of moving parts to it. Trump can flip it back. I didn't think he'd win it by 3 if he wanted to be by a hair, but you can't ignore the voter registration data. You just can't. Trump almost did a clean sweep in Nevada, a state Republicans haven't won in the longest time. This is incredible because he's touching base on the issues that matter. You have an America First foreign policy. You have an America First economic policy that puts the working class first, their interests first, the middle class. People love to talk about the tax cuts. They don't understand the economic nuance beneath the tax cuts and how they actually helped out the lower income brackets more in actual practice and effect, which is partially why you have all these CEOs that supposedly got tax cuts under Trump that didn't vote for him in 2020. Actually, Elon Musk was one of them, by the way, which kind of proves that that narrative goes out the window. He supports Trump for clearly other reasons than just economic reasons. It's very clear. But you look at what's happening in the state of California as well. Donald Trump, he lost the state by 30 in 2016 and 2020. Like if you look at this here, you could go to California, you could see this. Yeah, that's a 29.2% deficit. And then again, somebody whose home state is California, he's only down by, 21 points. There's a few votes left to count, but still, it's not going to move much from there. But like LA County, he got like a third of the vote in LA County. Republicans don't do that. He got 27%, not even last time. That was like a good performance. Now, just out of the gate, he's doing numbers in the 30s. Like he is realigning the country. Even California, I'm not saying it's going to be in play, but he's turning blue states purple in some cases like New Jersey, and in some cases he's turning them less blue. That includes California. And states that used to be swing states. Remember Iowa and Ohio were supposedly in play in 2020? He wins Ohio by close to 12 when you look at the final margin. I know they round it to 11, but still. And then you look at Iowa. Iowa is a 13-point win. We were promised that Iowa was going to be close because of some pollster that clearly got paid off, and I said it then, and a lot of people didn't want to believe it because they happened to just blindly trust the election mafia. Well, they're proven wrong. He won Iowa big. In fact, I think every county in the state of Iowa, except I guess maybe one, actually ended up moving to the right. Think about that. All across the board, you saw massive, massive shifts. Even in some counties, Republicans have lost a lot of ground in, like Grand Rapids, Kent County, Michigan. He still turned a corner. And part of it is circumstantial. It is true. Part of it is. But, there's a lot to prove. But if Donald Trump is a successful presidency, he has a real shot to cement this country as a red nation. You're talking about Vance in 2028. He is the successor. If Trump has a good administration, Vance is going to do well. And you're talking about states like New Jersey, Virginia, Minnesota, possibly Nebraska's second, New Hampshire, even New Mexico, where he made substantial gains. I'm not saying they're all going to flip, but if everything goes right, is this the electoral map? Could it very well be? It could be, especially because the media does not have the same control over the populace that it had back in 2020 or 2016. People trust it less and less. People trust alternative media, sources like mine or other people's podcasts or you name it. I'm sure a lot of people get their information online from a very large amount of people. But what we do know is that we have more of a monopoly there because we're winning the argument. It's more of a free market, especially because now you have social media platforms like X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, that are actually free speech platforms for the most part. So when you look at stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, the entire cultural zeitgeist is changing. And you see all these people. You saw Donald Trump last night at the UFC. He gets a resounding applause. The mood has changed in the nation. This is not 2016 anymore. And he also has a Republican Party that's a little bit more friendly to him now that can help him enact his agenda. I know the majority in the House is narrow, and I know people have mixed feelings about Mike Johnson, as do I. But could you imagine Paul Ryan hanging out with Donald Trump and all of his anti-establishment surrogates at any event after the 2016 election? Absolutely not. So either way, there's a lot of reason to be hopeful. And we'll see what happens over the next 4 years. But yeah, there's a good chance that Republicans could end up winning in 2028, and then they do an actual census, because they would have had a lot more electoral votes if you had a fair census. But after the next census, which will be after COVID, it'll be much better run in 2030. And Republicans, if they can hold Texas, Arizona, Florida, even if they end up losing Georgia due to trends, which are not looking all that solid for Republicans, if we're going to be completely honest, there still are warning signs in Georgia, but still, assuming trends continue, yes, it's very, very possible that the Democrats could be the ones locked out of power, not the Republicans. And I'm not saying it's a guarantee because things can change on a whim. Parties change, parties adapt. We understand that, which I think it's probably a good thing if the Democrats have to adapt to a more, MAGA country, because it's going to move the Overton window in the direction it needs to be moved in. But you're looking at this and it's like, yes, Trump is, turning the country red. And there's a possibility for a MAGA mandate, not just in the GOP, but in the nation for decades to come, essentially. And, there's definitely a lot of work to do. But could it be possible that Democrats are the ones locked out of power after they've laughed and said, oh, Republicans will never win the popular vote again. Republicans will never win an election ever again, a presidential election. It's possible. The Senate map doesn't look good for them. The House map, if we continue to fight back on the whole redistricting stuff, won't look that great for them, especially if the trends continue in certain places where there is still a lot of work to do and a lot left off the table. It's like, yes, it's very, very possible that Democrats could be the ones that are screwed, and you could have a trifecta that's red for years to come in this country. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.